In our first shot of the trailer here, we see Kylo Ren looking over what seems to be a factory of sorts. He is wearing his the same costume. Now it seems to be that the skirt part is shorter, and he is not wearing his helmet. Now we do not know if this is a private viewing room or not. So if he is alone, then it makes sense that he wouldn't necessarily wear his helmet. But if this is a room where other officers could come talk to him, then that means that he is more open to having his face seen by other members of the First Order, which he was less likely to do in The Force Awakens. Alright, so if you zoom in to the window that Kylo Ren is looking over, you can see that this factory is manufacturing what appear to be AT-ATs. Of course, we know that the new First Order Walker, and we're going to see a way better shot of that in like 10 seconds, but this looks to be an AT-AT simply because of the color, as if you've looked into this more so before this trailer, you know that AT-ATs are more light gray, and AT-M6s, or all-terrain Mega Caliber 6, are more dark gray or bluish gray color. But then now this is very hard to see in this copy of the trailer here. It's not quite full HD, but you can see, maybe not in this shot, you can see there is a bit of what look to be AT-STs, which is very weird because we did not know up until this point the First Order would even be using AT-STs, and I'll put it up on screen right about now that there is a new First Order vehicle called the All-Terrain, or the First Order Scout Walker, which we saw in a LEGO set that looks nothing like the previous AT-STs.
When I found you, I saw raw.
Alright, so here in our next shot we get about 6 or 7 AT-M6s traversing the planet Crate, as far as we can tell, but I'm assuming that based on the red dust coming out from the ground, and from the promotional art we've seen, we know that AT-M6s are present at the Battle of Crate. But so these are the new replacements of the AT-AT walkers, and we can see what I think are AT-AT walkers after the second full AT-M6. There's another AT-AT that is much smaller, as you can see, than the AT-M6. So it's a much more scaled up version of the original Walker from Empire Strikes Back. And then above them, we can see Kylo Ren's shuttle returning from The Force Awakens, flying into battle as well.
Untamed power.
Alright, so in our next shot, we have Kylo Ren leading what seem to be a group of, I'm assuming, snowtroopers because of the backpacks, but they also may be flame troopers, into battle here, or at least into what might be the planet of Ahch-To, or Ahch-To, where Luke and Rey are training. Mostly based on what we have seen of the Book of the Wills, or what is in there, the bookshelf in there. So then we also see that Kylo is not wearing his mask, which again confirms that he will be much more comfortable showing his full face to the just regular troopers of the First Order. And then we get a line from Snoke about raw power, but that also gets mentioned later on in the trailer, so I won't touch upon that right now.
And beyond that, something truly special.
Alright, so here we have Kylo Ren in this red room. He is wearing his helmet for the first time in the trailer so far, and he's picking up his lightsaber from the ground. His helmet looks pretty much the same. Nothing really changed there. He's wearing a similar costume, and then in the background we can see the red Praetorian Guards, who are now the new versions of the Emperor's Guards, and they now serve Supreme Leader Snoke. Here we have Rey about to train with her lightsaber on Ahch-To, or Ahch-To. Nothing really notable to say here.
Something inside me has always been there.
So here we get the first bit of Luke in this trailer, which of course is what everyone wants. So we get a big panning shot of Ahch-To, the island of Ahch-To, filmed on Skellig Michael. Something that I just kind of found in this trailer real quick as I was analyzing it is there are some huts here, or like a big kind of square formation. Now, that I don't know if that's supposed to be there in the movie, or if that's legitimately from the huts, the actual monk huts that are on the actual island of Skellig Michael, which is where this was filmed, of course. Then another shot, a really nice detailed shot of Luke's robotic hand. All the false skin, I guess, has fallen off over the years. It looks really cool, all dinged up and very used. That could be a masturbation joke. Then we get a nice clear shot of Luke in his Jedi robes, the long hair and everything, looking very confused at Rey. Alright, so our next shot is of Rey walking towards some what look to be dead trees with lots of fog all around them. And I'm getting some very dark side cave vibes, like on Dagobah, from this little area here. And then we also have Rey wearing this big gray cloak. Probably doesn't mean anything, just a costume change, whatever. It's already looking way too hard into this anyway.
But now it's awake.
So we get the same shot of the books that we got from the last trailer, and now Rey says something along the lines of, "There's always been something inside of me, then now it's awake," or, "and then I was awake."
And I need help.
So we get some more shots of her practicing with her lightsaber on the cliffside, and then she says, "and now I need help." So with this new line of dialogue, we can kind of assume that perhaps her whole thing about it being awake is from her initial immediate meeting with Luke, and she's asking him to train her. Alright, so then this next shot is of them actually training, because Rey is like Luke is right behind Rey, and so we just see the ground just crack, and this is centuries or millenniums old stone, and then it just pans up to Luke, and he has this look on his face like, what the fuck?
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
Alright, so this is probably my favorite part in the whole trailer. We get more allusions to the backstory of the Jedi Temple. Luke says, "I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now." This is like so clearly an allusion to Kylo Ren. Now, if I'm wrong, I'll be very surprised, but I think he's obviously alluding to Kylo Ren here. Alright, so this line here is what I was alluding to when Snoke said, "When I found you, there was so much raw, untapped power." So we assume, based on what is shown in the trailer, that he's talking to Kylo Ren, and that's what Luke is alluding to as well. But he could be talking to Rey as well. And then, so we just see him looking at Rey, and he's saying this, and then we cut to him, this hand just bursting out of this broken wood, which might be why his hand has all the skin burned off. Kylo Ren might have tried to kill him, by trapping him in the Jedi Temple. And then we get a better shot of the burning Jedi Temple with Luke and R2 looking out at it, and then we just get him, and he says, when he says, I learned, I was not afraid of it then. And we just see like his face. He looks actually like scared, like not like terrified, but like he looks like he's like scared of some shit that could happen. He's having like flashbacks, and you can just see the years in his eyes here.
Let the past die. Kill it. If you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be.
Alright, so then our next scene, we cut back to Kylo Ren here. We get a great little bit of Kylo Ren action here. So we see him in what seems to be an elevator. He's wearing his helmet, and then he removes it, and he's holding it like Hamlet style, like Hamlet holding a skull, and then he just smashes it against the wall, and he says, "You need to destroy the past, you need to kill it." And so this is him obviously kind of shedding his skin, and so he wants to be the full-on Sith. He's willing to show off his face, because now, I don't know, maybe he feels like now with this scar here, he can really be the badass Sith. And so he's got this new kind of band-aid kind of thing, or not band-aid, but like a bandage kind of prosthetic thing that goes down his face right where Rey slashed him. So we get a couple really good shots of that goes all the way down his neck, not above his eye though, for some reason. Then we get a great look at Kylo Ren's TIE silencer in action here. Looks really cool. It's got the big red engine in the back and the awesome cockpit in the front. And the little conflict set up in this this trailer snippet here is that Kylo is in this big space battle. He's wrecking shop here, and then he starts barreling towards the ship, which we are led to believe houses Princess Leia, as we all know, is his mother. And so then we get this really great shot of him, like you can just feel his emotional anguish. Adam Driver does a great job here. I haven't even seen the movie, you can already tell. His face is just filled with like anger and like anguish. Like, should he do it? Does he have the guts to do it? Can he do it? Can he be the Sith who kills his mother? Can he kill his own mother?
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
All right, so then we get a shot of two TIE fighters chasing the Falcon through this red crystalline interior of a planet. We don't know which planet it is. I'm going to say it's either Crate or Octo. And then so obviously getting chased as the Falcon is meant, or often does, by the Empire. And then we get this this funny little shot of Chewie and probably Rey piloting the Falcon. And then they have a Porg on the dashboard. And the Porgs have been pushed quite a bit for The Last Jedi. Now, I guess they're meant to be like the little, ooh, look at this thing, it's so cute, and it's supposed to be like beloved by everyone. Now, I was kind of against this, but after I was watching this a couple times, and I realized when the Porg makes his little noise, he's trying to imitate Chewbacca, and that actually, that struck me as funny, and I thought that was cute. So, you know what? With this trailer, they won me over on the Porgs. I'll admit it. So then we get our first look at Poe Dameron in his cool jacket, and he's returning all his badassery here. And then we get, so he's on some kind of big flagship that gets knocked down. He's thrown to the side. And then we get his X-Wing, which now has one big engine in the center, which most X-Wings have two, or the new ones, they have like the 4 engines on the back. But now his has a 5th right in the middle that's shooting some big light out of it. And then we get a close-up of his face, which makes it look like he's giving some big inspiring speech when he says, "We are the spark that will light the fire that will destroy the First Order," something along those lines. Come on! Alright, so then we get a great shot of Phasma returning, of course, having survived the trash compactor in all her chromy goodness. She's wielding some sort of baton or staff thing here. And then we get an image of Finn holding a riot trooper baton, as similar to the stormtrooper he fought in The Force Awakens, and now he's wearing an officer's uniform, so obviously he's disguised. So I guess the rumors are true, and so we might be getting the actual Tom Hardy stormtrooper cameo that people had talked about earlier. So then we get a nice shot of Finn engaging Phasma in what looks to be a very cool battle, and so I guess they're really going to play up their rivalry throughout the film, as they kind of hinted at in The Force Awakens, and then a close-up of Phasma's helmet, which looks really badass, and then a space battle featuring a Resistance bomber getting just taken down. Those are the new Resistance ship, by the way, and so we get 4 of them in this shot, and it looks to be just getting taken down, just destroyed. And is that in the background? I think that is Snoke's Supremacy, his mega class Star Destroyer that we saw earlier, maybe about a month ago, maybe?
This is not going to go the way you think. Fulfill.
Alright, so then this next part of the trailer is really cool. We get Luke kind of leaning back, or it looks like he's almost been knocked down against the rock, and it's raining. So it's kind of reminiscent of the Knights of Ren flashback, or Forceback scene, as it's been called, from The Force Awakens when Rey first touches the lightsaber. He's on the ground and looks like he's wearing his black costume that was revealed a little while ago. His hair is all wet and he looks very angry. He says, "This is not going to go the way you think." And then we get this cool shot of some kind of creature here. Almost looks like a cat, but it's got like icicles instead of fur. And then so this is clearly on Crate, as you can see by the red mountains here. And then this big shot of someone, this looks like a hangar maybe. That might be Leia, might be Luke. And I don't know if it's on Crate or where it even is. I'm going to say it's on Crate. And so they're looking out over the empty plains, and then we get a close-up of Leia looking fairly dejected here, and then we get Rey diving into some water, and right next to her is just the skeleton of this big sea creature. So I don't know, she might have a little bout in the water there. And then she comes up, climbs out of the water, and there's Luke in his big black costume. I don't know if this is a vision, but this looks fairly ominous with the mist and like the dark cave and everything. And then we get Finn. Now I don't know if he's captured or if he is still undercover as a First Order officer. But then this stormtrooper has like a red light in their eye. Now that I watched the trailer specifically for that. That's not a special uniform or anything. That's just the light reflecting from their eye. So they might be looking at some glowing red light or a Praetorian Guard down there. And then we get a big shot of a First Order hangar. You see just hundreds of troops and officers and specialty troops lined up there. And then in the background you can see AT-ATs and AT-ST walkers. There's a much clearer shot than what I mentioned earlier.
Your destiny.
So then we hear Snoke in the voiceover say, "Fulfill your destiny." That's a big part of Star Wars, the whole destiny thing. And then we get this awesome shot of the AT-M6 just bearing down on Crate. It's a great in-action shot. And then we get some Crate speeders there. And you can kind of see in the background, there looks to be a big, like, kind of flat surface against the mountain. So that must be the Rebel bait. That might be the Rebel base on Crate. And then we get, this is probably the money shot here. We get this close-up of Snoke and his all wrinkly, disgusting face here, very flesh-colored. And he's got kind of like these gross, wispy eyebrows here. He's looking up at something, as far as we can tell. And then we see Rey just kind of floating there in pain. She looks like she's screaming, and that's clearly Snoke in the background there. You can tell by the gold robe, which was revealed by a toy that came out on Force Friday. And then you can see to the right of him is, or to our right, his left is a Praetorian Guard. And then it cuts to black.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Alright, so then we get Rey lit by a fire, or what seems to be fire, something burning here, and she says, "I need someone to show me my place." And then we get to Kylo Ren. His scar looks about healed, actually, and he's no longer wearing the bandages that we saw earlier. And then he turns his hand and offers his hand to her to join him in the dark side. And boom, title, The Last Jedi. And that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Alright, so then we get this awesome, we hear Snoke in the voiceover. So we get the same shot of the books that we did from the last trailer. So here is just footage of Rey with her lightsaber. Nothing really.